Amanda is a highly competent mid-level operations lead carrying the invisible labor of a company run by nepotism. Carter, the CEO's son, is charming, lazy, and entitled. He takes credit, jokes that Amanda is the team's emotional support golden retriever, and repeatedly undermines delivery. Amanda endures, then pivots. She meticulously documents errors, contradictions, and escalations, quietly allies with legal, HR, and overlooked teammates, and steers an organizational restructure that repositions Carter to report to her. The climax is not a public meltdown but a quiet corporate coup, a barroom reveal, and an internal memo that flips the hierarchy. Amanda's victory is surgical, earned, and emotionally complex. Amanda's fingers drag the cursor across cell after cell until the numbers line up like disciplined soldiers. The conference room light is harsh and white, the projector hums like a cavity. She's just closed the deck when the door swings open and Carter breezes in, perfectly unruffled, the kind of person who wears entitlement like a cologne. "You must be Amanda," he says to the room, as if he's meeting her for the first time, as if he hasn't watched her rehearse this exact slide in the back half hour. He takes the chair she'd just vacated, settles with the ease of someone who believes the world owes him posture. He grins at the VPs, the senior staff, at the exact cadence he's been taught, friendly, vacant, disarming. He eats applause like it's his right. Amanda smiles because it's expected. It's a muscle she's used for 3 years, polite, unreadable. She learned early that reaction is currency. She learned to tidy other people's chaos, tidy or die. The camera lingers on tiny gestures, her thumb tracing the edge of a highlighted cell, a hair tucked behind her ear, the brief squeeze of a tightly closed fist. These are the things the office never notices. We hear her voice, not as rant but as a close whisper. "It's a thing," she says. A thing is Carter's excuse for a calendar entry. She lists, in the clipped cadence of a trained narrator, the inventory of micro-injustices, missed replies, stolen credit lines, public jokes that land like paper knives. The deck she just presented, her deck, is now his stand-in. He'll say 3 things that sound like leadership and the room will pivot as if he'd given a revelation. Outside, the city drifts by in rectangles of push notification light. Inside, there is the low language of industry, Slack pings, calendar invites, the soft click of heels. Amanda moves through it like a surgeon, hands precise, breathing contained. The script doesn't explain her competence, it shows it. Clients ping her directly after meetings. An intern slips a sticky note with a question into her laptop's USB door. People look at her when things go wrong, not up. That afternoon a VP praises the presentation. "You made it look seamless," he says. Carter leans back as if he invented the very idea of air. Amanda smiles. The smile is an artifact, worn thin. The camera cuts to her desktop, a folder titled OP Plan Personal. The name is neat, the timestamp exact. Inside, a methodical collection begins, a screenshot of a Slack thread, an email where Carter rewrites her work as if he brainstormed it in the shower, a recording where he confidently misreads a model. A day closes. Amanda leaves the conference room with her laptop under her arm and a practiced inhale. On the bus home, she doesn't cry. She opens the folder. She doesn't plan a scene. She plants seeds, notes, dates, collateral. Her voice pulls back from the immediate sting to a surgeon's calm. The lines she draws now will be evidence, not invective. Not rage, architecture. We cut to a montage of timestamps flipping, pages saved, the quiet accumulation of proof. Amanda's eyes at midnight, watchful, tired, precise. On screen a subject line forms, OP Plan Personal, Archive. The cursor blinks, then fills with a list that feels like a ledger. She closes the file and sleeps like someone braced for a long game. The beginning closes with a close-up of her hand, leaving a faint print on the laptop lid. The touch is small, but the intent is enormous. The story has started not with a scream, but with a document. Amanda learns to listen differently. The office noise becomes a map. She notices when Carter's voice quickens to cover a gap, the way his eyes glance at his phone when a question needs a number he doesn't have. She starts keeping a different calendar, not of meetings, but of contradictions. Monday, told Dev to pause. Tuesday, told Dev to proceed. Wednesday, promised client an API integration that doesn't exist. Each contradiction is a small fissure. Each fissure is a data point. At first she moves like a ghost. She helps Devon from analytics with a fix after Carter belittled his dashboard. She sits with Sana from product over cold coffee and diagrams, and she listens when Sana whispers, "I swear he doesn't know what an API actually does." They aren't alliances yet, just confessions in the static hum of the break room. Amanda files them. Legal becomes her unexpected confessor. Melissa, mid-level counsel, tastefully tired, isn't glamorous, she's precise. When Amanda slides anonymized samples across Melissa's desk, the lawyer doesn't need drama. She needs documentation, versions, timestamps, recipients. Melissa nods like a judge reading the first paragraph of a case that holds merit. "Let me know when you're ready," she says, and Amanda takes it as permission to keep collecting. Amanda's relationship with her own ambition is complicated. She's not wanting to take more for hatred's sake, she wants a system that recognizes competence. She scribbles in margins of the restructure draft as if sketching a new skyline, lines rerouted, reporting chains reimagined. She drafts language that would make accountability inevitable, not theatrical. Her edits are surgical, soft phrasing, neutral language with teeth. Assign authority based on competence, not proximity. It reads like policy and like a threat. The HR survey arrives like an unmarked envelope, bureaucratic, sterile, promising anonymity. Amanda treats it like a locked key. She answers honestly and then rewrites her answers into the restructure draft. She doesn't name names on the survey, but she outlines patterns. The survey's language is forgiving, Amanda's notes are not. She deletes, rewrites, tempers, but keeps the heat. Manager routinely fails to review contract scopes. High-value clients escalate. Team reports contradictory directives. She's careful enough to be credible, blunt enough to be visible. Meanwhile, Carter's style doesn't change, it intensifies. He begins to show small flashes of panic, more meetings, more insistence on just trust me. He starts to hover at things he didn't used to care about, as if by doing more he might prevent scrutiny. He sends urgent messages at 2 a.m., he CC's people like confetti. Amanda archives them all. She copies the threads to a private drive with redundancy so meticulous it would embarrass a bullion vault. Allies multiply quietly. Interns start forwarding frantic 2 a.m. messages with a sheepish, "Should we even do this?" Amanda answers them with a protocol she wrote at midnight and sends it along. Junior devs begin to ask her for clarity because Carter's tone has the consistency of fog. They look at her not as the mascot the execs joke about, but as a rudder. There's a human cost. Amanda rehearses small smiles at meetings. She squeezes her jaw in the privacy of a stairwell. But the scale of the problem becomes personal and structural at once. It's not just pride. It's institutional inertia protecting incompetence. When a major account, Hennian and Foster, teeters because Carter promises features that don't exist, Amanda doesn't lose her head. She takes a screenshot as Carter mutes her mid-correction. She saves the email. She writes a composed reply to the client and copies Carter in. When the client writes back asking to work directly with her, it's the first public crack in the performance. The build-up ends in small acts of courage, a forwarded thread, a coffee with legal, a line in the restructure draft. Amanda's weapons are patient, timestamps, memos, institutional grammar. There is tension, but also clarity. The plan is no longer a folder, it is a plausible future. The midpoint is a slow incisor, subtle but deep. HR rolls out a preliminary org chart and, casually, it contains a footnote, potential anchor role, central to stabilization. Amanda reads the wording twice. Her name echoes in that margin like a possible compass. It's not the promotion announcement she dreamed about, it's an invitation to redo the plumbing. She hears the possibility in the white space. She doesn't celebrate. Instead, she sharpens the plan. She appears to be helping HR test the draft, edits, clarifications, neutral feedback, but each suggestion slices in favor of competence and away from privilege. She reframes Carter's responsibilities as operational execution under oversight, which in HR speak reads like contains risk. It's careful choreography, nothing overt, always plausible, always framed as improving delivery. But the strategy exposes a private friction inside her. There's a ghostly moral calculus she runs alone at night. Am I becoming what I detest, someone who weaponizes procedure to topple a person? She answers with a ledger, repeated negligence, misrepresented deliverables, client escalations, muting during calls, behavior that costs the company time and money. She believes systems, not spectacle, will repair the damage. Still, the quiet turns internal. Amanda finds herself replaying Carter's laughter at the Mascot joke and asks, when does accountability become cruelty? Carter senses displacement before the chart is final. He picks up the cadence of micromanagement, bullet points, pseudo-deadlines, frantic CCs. He calls unscheduled syncs and pressures devs to finalize specs he himself had rubber-stamped earlier. The more he pushes, the more he exposes contradictions. Amanda's archive grows, Slack screenshots, calendar changes, a recorded moment when Carter misnames the client lead and promises an API feature that the product team never scoped. She files and indexes. Then the client call, the one that could topple a contract. Carter takes point and, predictably, stumbles. He promises timelines that don't exist. At a subtle but crucial moment, when Amanda starts to clarify, he mutes her, literally silences her. The client's confusion becomes public. The call ends with Carter lounging, unruffled, and Amanda taking notes that will later read like a confession she wasn't permitted to give. But the twist isn't that Amanda exposes him immediately, it's that she receives an email 2 days later from Julie Yates, the client's VP, we'd like to work directly with Amanda going forward. The client's confidence is a tangible acknowledgement of Amanda's competence. It's also a political lever. The moment is electric, a client's trust flips the narrative. Amanda now possesses not only documentation but external validation. She walks into HR with a folder and a posture that's calm, not triumphal. Melissa accepts the materials and gestures to confidentiality. Then, unexpectedly, Maya from HR invites Amanda to provide candid feedback on the restructure draft. It's an opening. Amanda chooses language as if drafting a building code, definitive, technical, unromantic. She includes one tactical shift, consolidate delivery oversight under an experienced strategic lead. She frames the change as continuity planning rather than a personal intervention. The internal process hums along. Amanda continues to be supportive in public while sowing structural changes privately. Carter, sensing pressure, starts to amplify his performative leadership, more brainstorms, louder jokes. He believes noise will obscure substance. Instead, it highlights gaps. The midpoint twist is now a pressure cooker. Evidence plus client trust plus HR's openness equals a real chance to rewrite the org chart. Amanda's inner conflict, whether she's simply reclaiming what's hers or reshaping a culture, settles into a steely conviction. She will not humiliate. She will rebuild. Now the air tightens. Every email is a drumbeat, every meeting, a small audition. Amanda's edits to the restructure begin to coalesce into a blueprint and she keeps her face neutral, surgical. She adds a single clause that will prove decisive, team realignment proposal, consolidate delivery oversight under experienced strategic lead Amanda D. Carter R. To report directly into said role to ensure continuity and institutional knowledge retention. The phrasing is measured, the impact is seismic. She doesn't draft it to spite. She drafts it because it reads like governance. Carter intensifies. He schedules multiple impromptu syncs, peppering them with half-formed directives and then blaming Dev when timelines slip. He's louder, which paradoxically makes him easier to track. Amanda follows the threads and archives the chaos, documents with conflicting instructions, late-night directives without approvals, promises made without product capacity. Her folder is clinical now, a timeline of cumulative negligence. It's not only about catching him. Amanda starts coaching the people Carter sidelines. She walks Devon through a dashboard fix. She helps Sanaa articulate a technical risk to the product roadmap. They bring a quiet before-storm energy. Junior staff begin to treat Amanda as a source of clarity, not consolation. When Carter snaps out a pithy line in a meeting, people don't laugh the same way. They glance at Amanda, and she receives small, grateful nods. Those nods feel like votes in a silent election. HR pingbacks arrive, follow-ups, clarifying questions, requests for examples. Melissa and Maya are efficient, not theatrical, and they push for changes that read authoritarian in their calmness. The structural edits begin to feel inevitable. Amanda's one-line adjustment sits like a seed under soil. Tension builds in small scenes, Carter hovering at a meeting where he had been previously uninterested, his attempt to demonstrate ownership by micromanaging font size in a deck, his unsteady grip on attention. He becomes a man performing scrambling competence. Each misstep is quietly indexed. Amanda rehearses her neutrality like a shield. She uses phrases that sound obedient but function as evidence. Per your direction becomes a phrase she repeats on purpose. Every time he contradicts himself, she posts the previous directive and timestamps the inconsistency. It's a legalist's ballet. Externally, the client Henian's email appears as a quiet fuse. They copy the board liaison and the CFO thanking Amanda for salvaging the plan. The message travels to the corner offices where structural decisions ferment. The board's interest changes the tempo. The CEO's office begins asking quiet questions no one vocalizes in open meetings. Meanwhile, Amanda's personal life is small and steady. There are no melodramatic scenes of vindictive plotting. She runs errands, cooks dinner, sleeps in short bursts. The contrast between her ordinary domesticity and the high-stakes bureaucratic chess makes the tension stranger and purer. She doesn't gloat, she designs. Friday night brings the company happy hour, a place Carter loves for the lights and laughter that flatter him. Amanda times her arrival. She's late enough to avoid pleasantries, early enough to be present when the reveal happens. The room smells of roasted hops and foamy self-regard. Carter performs as if he's in a sitcom. Amanda watches like an architect watching construction. The final pieces of the restructure land in HR's inbox that evening. The document is finished, confidential, stamped. Carter keeps entertaining while his fate is being finalized. The bar hums, the lighting softens. Amanda sips a drink and waits. The build toward the climax is a taut wire, the edit becomes final, HR is ready, and the stage is set. The reveal will be small, a tablet and a smirkless hand, but the impact will be enormous. The bar quiets slightly when Carter, ebullient and 2 drinks deep, calls for attention. He makes a joke about trading managers like baseball cards, a stupid gag, self-congratulatory. Laughter skitters, polite and thin. Amanda's face is still, her smile is a trimmed blade. She raises her glass the way someone raises a flag, slow and unfussy. HR approaches. The woman from HR moves with the odd, inevitable calm of someone carrying bad news that's already been decided. She holds up a tablet like an altar plate and places it in front of Carter. He blinks at the screen. For a second there's confusion, an almost comical search for the punchline. The device is heavy with bureaucracy, small and unarguable. His name is still there, his title intact. That gives him a momentary comfort. Then the lines. The chart reads like a map, Amanda D., Senior Director, Strategy and Delivery. Carter R., Strategic Operations Liaison. A single arrow points down to a position that is now beneath Amanda's box. The room tilts, if only perceptually. The CEO watches from a corner booth, bourbon in hand, eyes like flint. He doesn't clap, he doesn't scold, he only nods, the slow, final kind of acknowledging that an investment's yield has been accounted for. Carter's mouth opens. Words try to form but don't. He swallows. The tablet trembles in a hand that is unfamiliar with loss. Amanda's "I accept" is not loud. It doesn't have to be. It is a punctuation that lands into the warm hum of conversation, and silence folds around it like paper. The humor that sustained Carter dissolves into an awkward, stunned quiet. Faces go slack, people who laughed before now hold their breath. There is a fragile human beat. Carter glances at his father. The CEO's face says something complicated, disappointment, yes, but also perhaps relief. A man who'd depended on family leverage all his life sees the architecture change and, for once, is not willing to prop him up. The lack of a rescue is the executioner's tool. Amanda doesn't gloat. She doesn't deliver an epilogue speech. Instead, she takes a measured sip, feeling the warmth of a drink cross the line into truth. She navigates the room like someone stepping through an invisible door into a new space. HR finishes the exchange with 3 syllables, effective now. No fanfare, just an official stamp that carries more weight than any shouting match ever could. Carter stands there, tablet in hand, like someone caught mid-pantomime. People glance away, no one makes the joke about mascots anymore. The laughter is gone. Amanda's colleagues exchange looks, a small, grateful relief in the eyes of interns, a quiet acknowledgement in the faces of team leads. The win is administrative, clean, and irreversible. It's the kind of victory that bureaucracy renders permanent. She leaves the happy hour without theatrics. The finality is in the morning memo, but the bar scene is the visceral reveal, the social death of privilege in one quiet, executed breath. Outside, the night air is cool and ordinary. Amanda walks home not triumphant in a loud, performative way, but with the quiet lightness of someone who's finally been allowed to do their job. The climax is not vengeance but restoration, competence given the scaffolding it deserves. Morning is orderly. The all-hands opens and Amanda's name is at the top of the agenda. The chart has already been distributed, a tidy, administrative thing that nevertheless rearranges the world. Carter's initials are a small blue circle near the bottom of the gallery, his video off. The digital silence is a kind of exile. Amanda speaks and the room moves. Her voice is the same instrument that once smoothed chaos into presentations, now it carries formal authority. She outlines handoff plans and decision rights with the clarity of someone who has lived inside the problem. People nod. Emails ping with thanks. Junior devs breathe as if someone removed a weight from their shoulders. In 20 minutes, the meeting has shifted from performance to execution. She receives a private message from Jordan. A junior dev can't believe you did that with one sentence, he types. Amanda's reply is modest, precise. I wrote it for months. Line by line, receipts, charts. Patience in silence. Her words aren't gloating, they are instruction in craft. The company moves forward because a person finally lets the machine be run by the people who understand it. Back at her desk, Amanda opens the folder one last time. The files are neat, indexed, evidence that changed the arc. She pauses on the restructure V1, final, and then closes the laptop. There's no triumphant music, instead there's the soft click of keys and the ordinary rhythm of inboxes. She isn't a hero in a movie, she's a professional who made a system match its purpose. Carter's trajectory is small and ambiguous. He doesn't explode, he recedes. The CEO's choice is decisive but not cruel. There is mercy in the corporate administration, repositioning that keeps dignity while ensuring accountability. Amanda knows the risk of vanity. She doesn't savor his discomfort. She does, however, savor the quiet, the office breathing differently, the removal of a dead weight. The end isn't a final coronation. Amanda's authority will be tested tomorrow, next quarter, when deadlines tighten and clients push. But the critical structure is fixed, and that matters more than instant applause. She leaves the office early that day, an ordinary decision that feels surprisingly celebratory. On the street, she buys a coffee she doesn't need and takes a seat on a bench, watching people pass without assigning meaning to their faces. Her internal monologue returns for a final note, Ryan-tempered, not revenge, she says, but structural honesty. She thinks about the interns who now won't be taught to prop up entitlement. She imagines policies that outlast one man's privilege. She imagines people who do the work recognized for the work itself. A notification pings, a new client thread asking for a timeline. Amanda smiles, types a clear reply, and hits send. The world moves forward, not with the high drama of a viral takedown, but with the slow, steady shifting of gears. The last shot lingers on her hand closing a laptop, then rising to cup the warm coffee. Her face is composed. The victory is not a spectacle, it is a new architecture. We end on a small image, the quiet of competence finally allowed to do its work, and a final line almost to herself, "This is how you fix a company." End.